Hey guys, Freaky here. A lot of you are always asking me how to improve, so today I'm back with some tips and tricks. This is an intermediate tutorial for those who already have the L1 license. If you don't have the L1 license yet, make sure to check out my previous tutorial to master the basics of drifting. I'll leave a link in the description below. I've also left a link to a tier sheet made by my friend MadCarroT. Feel free to make a copy and fill it out to see how well you perform on every map according to the West server standards. If you can achieve a tier 1 average, you'll be ready for my next tutorial. So if you want to improve your game in speed mode after getting L1, what you need to master now is improving your drift quality, knowing how to adjust your drift, drifting through jumps and ramps, and of course, becoming familiar with the different maps. So what do I mean by drift quality? Pay attention to my cart. When I drift at a big angle like this is the slowest possible drift speed. If I widen the drift radius and drift at a smaller angle, you'll see right away my speed is faster. You need to practice drifting lightly to drift at a small angle so that your cart remains pointing forward as much as possible. Remember that every drift will break naturally when the drift angle is smaller than around 30 degrees. You should practice drifting near the smallest angle possible to maintain high drag speed. This is called an optimal drift. You'll know you're performing one if the optimal drift text appears. It will take some practice, but once you get the hang of it, you should be able to execute optimal drifts on command. Sometimes the drift is too light and breaks before fully charging your meter. Make sure to extend your drag if needed to maintain an active drift on this small angle and fully charge nitro. Another thing to think about when measuring drift quality is your line. Sure, you can hit an optimal drift, but if you're driving far from the wall and taking a longer path, that's not going to matter much. It's important to think about how to approach different curves so that not only are you dragging at the fastest speed, but that you're driving the shortest distance possible. A lot of curves and many maps are connected, so how you approach the first turn in a series is also very crucial. Now of course, even if you know the line you want to take, it's impossible to always perform a perfect drift. There will be times where you overdrift or underdrift, and it's important to be comfortable adjusting your drift angle during a drag. Some curves even require drag adjustments to take optimally. Now remember when we cut charge, we tap the opposite direction key when our drift angle is small to reduce the drift angle and break the drag. So as long as our drift angle is not small initially, the opposite direction key can be used to widen the drift radius and maintain an active drag. In this clip, I start out with a hard drift, then use the opposite direction key to widen my line and avoid the protruding wall. Once I am past the protruding part, I drift again to stay close to the wall and round the corner in one continuous drift. Likewise, we can tap the same direction key to increase the drift angle and drag extend. In some curves, however, tapping the same direction key to drag extend may not turn the cart enough to get around. If you need a more drastic change to your line, you can drift again in the same direction during a drag to turn more. You must master these basic adjustments to widen or tighten your line, and be comfortable performing any combination of them in the same curve. Another way you can adjust the drag is by using the brake key. Unlike the other drag adjustments, using the brake key slides your cart horizontally, shifting your line rather than altering your drift angle. In this clip, I try to make the corner in one drag, but my line is just a bit short. I decide to hold brake to slide out a bit farther and avoid the wall. Although braking ended my active nitro boost, since my nitro meter is full, I quickly end my drift and immediately use a new nitro boost. Brakes are underrated. There's no reason to go fast if you are going to crash into the wall. If you need to slow down or avoid bumping a teammate, tap the brakes. Here I use brakes to adjust my line after getting draft from another player. Brakes can be used to slow down even while in the air. Weird, right? Here are some examples where using brakes might be helpful if you are too fast or have a bad jump line. There are many ramps and jumps in KartRider, and it's important to know how to drift through them. You should always drift before exiting a ramp. This is so when you land, you start at an angle and can easily drift again or continue your drag with drift extension. If you don't drift before exiting, starting a drift from 0 degrees will be much harder. When you drift before a ramp, performing a landing drift allows you to charge nitro fast, since you gain speed falling in the air. You can hold the direction and drift key in the air to make sure a drift is executed right away upon landing. You can also perform a landing drift in the opposite direction. This is useful for straightening out your kart. If you want to keep a wider line and smaller angle, you can drag extend instead. But you don't get the same charge benefit from performing a landing drift. The nitro charge will be much slower, but since you're drifting at a smaller angle, you'll be going faster. Sometimes you need to change your drag direction immediately following a jump. You can drag extend a bit by only holding the opposite direction key when you land before straightening out. This allows you to turn your kart fast and quickly start a new drag in the opposite direction. Briefly hold a direction key when landing, then straighten out and drift the other way. Now that's everything I wanted to cover at the intermediate level, but here are some extra tips I have that might be worth mentioning. You can drift into auto drive tunnels or parachute jumps to charge a free nitro. Even the tunnel in Gate of Wonderland, as long as you're touching the ground. If you drift into one of these zones with the fully charged meter, you can actually collect 2 nitros. Whenever entering one of these zones, you want to drift in the opposite direction of the following turn. That way an S charge will be triggered and you can charge nitro faster. You can't gain speed from nitro in the air, so save your nitro for right before you land. Enable auto quick boost to make your life easier. When you end a drift properly, you have 3 blue quick boosts that you can tap out. If you have this setting enabled, the first quick boost will be triggered automatically when nitro is not in use. This is useful for essentially extending your nitro duration on long straights. Here I let the auto boost pop before I use my next nitro. That's all I have for now. If you found this tutorial helpful, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. I'll talk about sliding and brake drift in the next tutorial. Peace!